Direct objects can be nouns, they can be pronouns, they can require an action verb. Let's look at how direct objects can be nouns. In the first sentence, her cat caught a mouse. Do we have any prepositional phrases? We don't, but we do have a verb, caught. Notice that that's an action verb, showing action, catching. Next, we look for our subject noun, which is to the left of the action verb, cat. That's our subject noun. We have this other noun in the sentence, mouse. That is our direct object. It's receiving the action. What was caught? A mouse. In the second sentence, we ate many cookies for breakfast. Let's look at that sentence and see how we can parse it. For breakfast is our prepositional phrase. After our prepositional phrase, we look for a verb. Ate is our action verb, and we is our subject noun, or in this case, our subject pronoun, because it is to the left of the verb. To the right, we have a noun, cookies. That is our direct object. Notice that it's to the right of the verb, just like it was in the first sentence. Also notice caught and ate are both action verbs. I placed my homework in my backpack. I see a prepositional phrase here, so I'm going to mark that out. And I cross off in my backpack because a prepositional phrase begins with a preposition and ends with a noun or a pronoun, so I know I have an OP there. Next thing I look for is my action or my verb. I underline it twice, placed, and now I have to choose my subject noun. I have two words here. I have I and homework. Which one is my subject? Well, I is my subject because I am doing all the placing, and it's also to the left. And in this case, it's a subject pronoun. Remember, a pronoun takes the place of a noun. So easily we can see that the noun to the right of my action verb is my direct object. Now, direct objects can also be pronouns. Pronouns. Remember that a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. In the first sentence, in the morning, Sally saw it. I've got a preposition right at the beginning of the sentence. I have a prepositional phrase. We don't see that too often. Now, my preposition I go all the way to morning. I don't kind of just keep going through. I just can't stop at morning because remember, my prepositional phrase begins with a preposition and ends with a noun or pronoun. Once I've crossed all of that out, I only have a few words left in my sentence. I have Sally, saw, and it. What's the action in the sentence? Saw. So what is my subject? Sally, because it's to the left of the action. Remember, because you crossed off this prepositional phrase in the morning, morning is not your subject. My direct object becomes it. We don't know what it is, but Sally sure did see it. The next sentence, the crossing guard guided her across the road. Any prepositional phrases there? Cross. Prepositional phrase starts with a preposition and ends with a noun or a pronoun. Road becomes our object of the preposition. After our prepositional phrase, we found our noun, which is guided. Next, we look for our subject noun, which is to the left of our action verb, which would be guard. You might be tempted to go ahead and underline crossing guard as the whole subject. That's incorrect, because we'll learn in a little bit that crossing is actually an adjective that's describing what kind of guard. And we'll talk about that in the future. So any idea where your direct object would be? We only have a few words left, the and her. And it is her, that pronoun. It's after the action verb. Notice in these sentences you had an action verb saw, an action verb guided. Remember that you must have an action verb to have a direct object. Frederick will take it on the train. I don't know what Frederick's going to take, but we can find our preposition right here and our prepositional phrase on the train and our object of the preposition. Where's our action? Take is our action, and look, we have a helping verb, will, that's helping that main verb take. Frederick would be our subject because it's to the left of our action verb, which leaves our only word left, our direct object, it. Molly and Susan gave it to her. To is our preposition. To her is our prepositional phrase. Our action is gave, and our subject is Susan, and it's also Molly. That's a compound subject because there's two people. And lastly, our direct object is to the right of the verb. Direct objects require an action verb. If you don't have an action verb in your sentence, then you don't have a direct object. Sentences that have something that looks like a direct object, but have a state of being verb and not an action verb, are called predicate nominatives. And we mark those in a different way. Here you can see what I mean. Sally ate the cheesecake. Sally has the cheesecake. In both of those sentences, they're similar, but the verb is different. In the first sentence, you have an action verb, ate. In the second sentence, you have a state of being verb. Only one of those is going to be able to have a direct object in it. Which one? The first one, because there's an action verb in it. Ate is our action verb. It gets 2 lines underneath. Sally's our subject, and our direct object is cheesecake. In the next sentence, has certainly is a verb, but it's a state of being verb. So cheesecake can't be a direct object, but it can be what we call a predicate nominative. And that just simply means that it acts like a direct object, it's receiving the action, but there's no real exciting action going on. It just sort of is, or is being, as we would call these types of verbs. The next set of sentences, Cinderella is a princess, and Cinderella lost her shoe. One of those is going to contain a direct object and one is not. If you said the second sentence, you were correct. Lost is our action verb. Is just a plain old state of being verb. In the first sentence, we're going to underline is as our state of being verb, and Cinderella is our subject. So would the word princess be a predicate nominative, or would it be a direct object? Well, if you put predicate nominative, you were correct, because is not an action verb. Cinderella lost her shoe. Lost is our action verb. Cinderella is our subject. And in this case, shoe became our direct object. I hope you had fun with direct objects. We have some more exciting worksheets to do on direct objects soon.